Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Fight Mania. We are live on our YouTube channel, exclusively brought to you by IBM Podcasts. And check us out for a lot more content on ibmpodcast.com. We are formerly known as the Fighting Goat, but now we have changed our avatar because the pause has happened and it's been raining heavily every day. So it's time. But before we come back with the jokes and introductions, my name is Arjun with Somesh, the superhuman camera. We're going to take a quick commercial break and we will bring you the meat and all the might of the fighting world.
Hello everyone, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcasts Network. On Pesa Vesa, Anupam talks to Shailesh Paul, Head, Merchant Sales and Acquiring, India and South Asia Visa. They analyze the future of contactless payments in India. On Nankari, Sadaf and Archit talk to food writer and chef Rajeshri Sen about all things sweet. On Big Talk about tiny humans, Devi Shobha and Meghna talk about how parenting can trigger past trauma. On The Longest Constitution, Priya analyzes the arbitrary arrest of several writers and artists with regards to the Information Technology Act. And on Ikka Dukka Economy, Abhinav talks to renowned economist Dr. Arun Kumar about permutations and combinations of tax alterations in India. We've got some exciting news for you. IVM Podcast has just launched its merch, and our first line is out now. Head to the IVM Podcast's website and click on the Shop tab to check out our first collection of t-shirts. Do follow us on social media. We are IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, do tell a friend. Also, don't forget to rate us on any platforms that you're listening on. And you can also check us out on YouTube. We're also doing a small listener survey to better understand how you respond to our shows and advertising on the network. We would really appreciate if you could spare a few minutes to fill it. It helps us build better shows for you. And finally, we would like to thank our sponsors this week: Capgemini, Intel vPro, and Intel. Future Banao Wonderful with Intel-powered laptops.
Mystic
Welcome
Chips, what a wide range of shows out here, man. And out of all these good, Gyani shows of IT and journalism and food, somehow we are fitting in.
Yeah, of course, man. There's always, you see, for every book, there is every fact, there is also fiction, no? So which is where we come in with a combination of fact and fiction. But that being said, we missed our last week's show sadly because I was traveling and we just couldn't do it. So my apologies for that one. But we've got a monster pack show. We've got a new segment for you guys. It's called Unpopular Opinions, and it's not an unknown concept, unpopular opinions. Unpopular opinions exist everywhere. So we're going to come back to that in a little while, where Somesh Kamra and I will start fighting a little bit on the show today, hopefully, because we always have similar opinions. But today, no, my friends, we have a lot.
But maybe
more to
that's
talk
why we
about.
have been kept separately, Like you're in your house, I'm here in the studio.
Correct. So it makes sense and all because there's a backlog. 1 year ago we started this bet. We're not allowed to legally bet because we are affiliated with the UFC. We do a show with Sony. Mr. Kamara represents Indian fighters for the UFC, so we can't directly bet. But we started this thing on the side where we talk about we just pick up picks and all that. And I said the winner gets to punch the other winner. But
I'm leading, right?
No. You are losing by a triple digit margin. Like it's so bad. And you know what? You are taking advantage of my niceness. Okay, it's not gonna happen anymore. Remember how we did that on the show?
Oh my God, that was fantastic. But there's so much to catch up on. In fact, the hottest topic that is floating around is of my favorite fighter, Sean O Malley.
We're starting with Sean O Malley. No, Mr. Kamran. Mr. Kamra, before we start with Sean O Malley, I know it's a long topic, but I just have to inform that the 2028 Olympics that are happening in Los Angeles have cancelled boxing and weightlifting.
Yes.
For 2028 amidst corruption and rumors. Can you imagine?
Yes. In fact, it has been cancelled. 2028 Los Angeles Olympics will not have boxing and weightlifting due to favoritism and corruption amongst authorities at the lowest level, up to the highest level.
Dude, remember I went a couple of weeks back for that boxing event in Dubai?
Yes. Yes.
And there was a very big issue that came out. I completely forgot to talk about this.
Yeah.
So the commission that was hired to do all the boxing, that was hired to regulate the boxing. So usually a country commission is hired that provides the judges, the timekeepers, the referees, and all these. So
Right.
they hired the Kazaki commission to
Okay.
manage the fights. And during a fight with a Kazaki fighter, nobody noticed this. The referee didn't sign off on it. The judges didn't see it. The timekeeper nobody saw this. A camera picked it up, and one of the promoters picked it up. The fighter from Kazakhstan was wearing 4-ounce gloves, and his opponent was wearing 10-ounce gloves.
Oh, really?
4 to 6 ounce gloves. There was a big difference in the size of the glove. And normally, when you sign off, Somesh, you also have seen this probably in the UFC, where they
Right.
sign the gloves, where the commission has to sign off on the gloves
Right.
after the taping.
Right.
There was no sign, there was no taping, there was nothing. And the only thing linking the two is that the fighter was Kazaki and the commission was Kazaki.
Oh my God. These things really make such an impactful difference, or I would say a negative impact on the entire
Dude,
arena
it's
of
illegal.
boxing.
It's
Because, I mean,
illegal. It's homicide. This is
way back when commissions could be bribed, they used to put things inside the glove, so they used to put these metal
yes.
pieces, they used
Yeah,
to
yeah.
sometimes
Nails,
put
nails.
stones, they used to put stones, and they used to have wrapping over and above that. And that's why, when you see any MMA fight, the first thing the referee checks, or the commission checks, is that they press this part and they see if anything has been put inside, you know
Right, correct.
and I mean, that part was so overlooked, and it's so sad that these things happen even till today. And maybe that's why boxing has been cancelled.
I think so, and I think, see, this is also the kind of stuff that casts a bad shadow on the sport.
It
This is
does.
why boxing started getting unpopular in after a while. It lost
Yes.
its steam after the 80s. So it's sad. It's sad that this has happened, but I guess the show continues. Maybe one day MMA will be picked up. But Somesh Kamra, why don't you take us through the news of the week?
Oh my God, the fight week that just went by, UFC 276, was an absolute banger. And for the first time, in fact, we saw Pedro Munoz take on Sean O'Malley, which was supposed to
I
be
knew, I knew you
his
were coming.
first real test. And
Yeah,
yeah, it was stopped as a no contest because there was an accidental eye poke,
yeah.
and
I don't agree with this
Pedro
at
Munoz
all.
could not continue. So it happened in the second round, and Pedro Munoz was saying he eye poked me twice, and the ref didn't see it. But apparently, Mystic Chips has a different version of it. And Mystic Chips, can you tell us more about your version?
It's so sad, and it sucks that I'm not in the studio, because had I been in the studio, I'm working with the producers. Our producer Surohini, she does helps us out a lot with all our back end content.
Yeah.
And we don't have the clip for you, but if you see in round one, when they were fighting from the 2-minute 50 mark to the 2-minute mark in the round,
Yeah.
Sean O'Malley lands a right hook, and the right hook hits Munoz on his left eye. You can see the knuckle hitting the open eye, and it was
Okay.
clean. The shot was clean, and ever since that point, he was rubbing his eye, rubbing his eye, rubbing his eye. The next strike O'Malley threw was a shot to the body, which he said that went low. He took that time. Instead of, a lot of fighters, they check their guard and that. This guy was in the corner, rubbing his eye, rubbing his eye, rubbing his eye. And then when the poke came, you saw that eye poke, and you saw the judges, you saw the referees. Everybody said it was not bad, and that was to the right eye, not the
Right.
left. So do you realize something that's happening here? I mean, I'm never going to say, look, dude, eye pokes,
So what are
even the
you? I mean, what are you trying
smallest.
to intend here? You're trying to say something.
I'm trying to say something, but it has to be understood by everybody what I'm trying to say. Because
So are you
so much.
suggesting that Munoz has kind of not gone ahead with the fight, and he's taken the easier route out of Sean
See,
O'Malley?
I know it's going to be a harsh thing to say, but we've seen fighters who have taken the easy way out. I mean, Donald Cerrone also agreed to it. Remember when Donald Cerrone said he fought Conor McGregor?
Right.
He knew after the first shoulder shot.
I think we have the video for that one. So just in case you guys want to see it, we have the video
Oh,
of
we
the
do.
Sean
Oh,
O'Malley.
great. That's
Yeah, we do.
amazing. So if you see here, I think this is the time. You see his left. Okay, this is before. Okay, now this is the eye poke that happened.
Right.
Now
You see,
you see
kind of
it's
goes in both eyes. It kind of is
but it's
almost
not
in both
gone
eyes.
in. but you see his left eye, it's already swollen. It's already been damaged.
Very
That
true.
left eye
He
is
comes in with
already
that pink,
damaged.
Sean O'Malley comes in with that pink nail paint also, so you never know
No,
how
I
much
know.
of that
See,
will
look,
inside.
dude, you hate him for very different reasons. So I can't, I can't really tell you
But
anymore.
that was an eye poke, there was an eye poke. I'm not saying the
It was
damage was intense, but
correct, but no, but it's certainly not enough to call a draw. I'm sorry. It's. See, this is where the rules come in and become a little thing. Like, remember, you spoke about this the last time around, that maybe it's time for these closed draws that happen due to accidental pokes or groin shots or illegal shots. I think
right,
can be reviewed by a third umpire, like in cricket. you
right,
know
right.
so let the fight be finished at the moment. Let the fight be finished, but maybe in like a 3-day time period, somebody comes and says, can overturn that draw, and then say, okay, we won't call it a draw, let's count points till that point. Let's just see the judges scorecards till that point, like in boxing.
True, but what happens is that in any combat sport, it's based on split second decisions. Like in cricket, you may be able to do it, but it's like saying you need a third umpire for an F1 race, where
Correct, correct.
even the split second makes a difference. And I think at some level, it takes away the charm of the entire sport. And
I agree. I agree,
sometimes
but
you need to take advantage of these loopholes, and that's exactly what happens. I'm not saying that Pedro
you
Munoz
saying
took the way out. But honestly, I feel Sean O'Malley is a very, very tough competitor. He's an
he is.
extremely tough guy because people have said, yeah, target his legs and he'll be out. But he took some vicious leg kicks and he was still there.
Dude, he's see, this is the beauty of fighting. You
Yeah,
either you stay stagnant or you grow, and you
absolutely.
can see he's learning from his mistakes, and he's
Yes.
taking his time. But Mr. Kama has issues with other things of his lifestyle,
Nah, not
where
at all. Not at all.
uh,
What I have issues with was that Robbie Lawler was on the prelim card, and thankfully he got
yeah.
pulled on to the main event of the evening. Robbie Lawler, very
You
very
mean the first
sadly
fight of the
was,
card? No, not main event. Main event was the title fight.
yeah, as in he was on the main card. So
Acha, huh, okay.
yeah. So Robbie Lawler taking on Brian Barbena, he got TKO'd. Alex Pereira showed what he was made of versus Sean
Okay,
Strickland.
now say prediction time. The Mystic Ball has called it.
No, come on.
Sean Strickland, man. But you know what? I gotta give it to Sean Strickland. He is
Yeah,
the last
yeah.
of the dying breed of fighters in that
Yes,
sense. If you
yes,
see guys like Charles Oliveira, Charles
yes,
Oliveira, despite being a champion, doesn't fight safe. You see that
yes,
he comes in like one maniac. He's coming
yes,
in
he
full
does.
steam. He gets dropped at least 3 times in a fight,
Yeah, yeah.
every fight, and
But I guess that's
and
that's one of his keys to victory. That if you don't drop me, then you're not going to kind
correct.
of
How do you come to my
face the
guard?
reality. Yeah,
How do I come to my guard? and
you have
and
to drop.
it's the same thing with Strickland. Strickland had a strategy of, see, look, somebody like Sean Strickland had definite advantage in the grappling. He's a much better wrestler than Pereira. He's a much better
Absolutely,
grappler than Pereira. But he
absolutely.
chose to
To
fight
bang.
Pereira at his strength. He
True,
wanted to
true.
fight him at his strength, and that is in my book called old school freaking badassery,
Correct,
to come at
correct.
somebody in their strength, like Krokop. People used to kickbox with Krokop, remember?
Right, right,
And I
right.
think, regardless of the outcome, people are like, "Oh my God, Sean Strickland has fallen." I'm like, anybody can get caught by a world class kickboxer, boss. Even the
Right.
champion got caught.
I mean, absolutely. But what was really, really fabulous from that event was Alexander Volkanovski, who put up a master clinic versus the so-called pound for pound best fighter in the division, Max Holloway.
Mhm. I know. I'm not saying anything. See,
Yeah,
look,
I mean, he put on a masterclass. He absolutely blew him out on all
no, he
segments.
shut
50-45.
everybody up. He
Yep,
shut everybody up. He's now
50-45 was an absolute clinic.
he's shut everybody up now. There's nothing more to say because there's nothing to critique here.
But
There's
what
nothing to
happened in
critique.
that
It
fight,
was
according to me, is that it just showed how better Alexander Volkanovski became after those two fights with Max Holloway. It was not even close.
I agree.
Max may have upped his game, but Alex was two levels above that. And it was better than his previous two fights. I mean, 3-0. I think this rivalry ends right here. It never should happen again. He's
No.
he's he's the clear winner in this segment at least. And let's see what the future holds. Volkanovski saying he wants to go up and possibly face Charles Oliveira. That's going to be very, very interesting. And look at
Yeah,
Volkanovski. I mean, if you just look at this fighter physically, he's the shorter guy. He's the guy with lesser reach. He's not as quick. He's not as strong. His
but he's
grappling is
fast,
not.
dude.
He showed us how fast he can actually be, but at the same time, he's not the most imposing character out there. You
Yeah,
know,
he's not Francis Ngannou looking or like a
absolutely,
Czech Congo. Like you looked
absolutely,
at Czech Congo and got scared. You look
absolutely.
at
But
Czech Congo
he
and you're like,
showed,
holy shit.
he showed why he's the number one out there, and I think what 21 or 22 fight winning streak. So he's really, put all
Yeah,
the
but
critiques as at rest.
see, the thing is herein lies the problem. This was the same thing we saw with Mighty Mouse Demetrius Johnson.
Yes,
Mighty Mouse kept racking up the wins. He became. Do you know something that a lot of people don't know? That Mighty Mouse defended his belt 10 times
yes,
before losing and leaving the division, and that was to
yes.
Henry Cejudo in the second fight. And it's the same situation where Alexander Volkanovski's inability to sell a ticket
But
is
that's more of a
I
marketing
know.
perspective.
Yeah,
I
but
would
the,
I
but
would
the
talk
thing is,
I would talk about him as a fighter.
it's like remember when Dana White spoke about Tyron Woodley. Tyron
Yes,
Woodley, he said he after the Wonder Boy fight or some fight which was lackluster, where
yes,
he
yes.
drove the fighter to a decision. He
Wonder Boy,
he
yes.
said
There was a Wonder Boy fight.
Wonder Boy fight, right? And he
Yeah.
said like does anybody want to watch? Is anybody going to pay $70 to watch Tyron Woodley in a main event? And I'm not saying.
Maybe for
See,
Sultan,
we are
but
hardcore
not on the
fans.
list.
I love
Yeah.
I love Volkanovski's style. See, the thing is that styles make fights, and
Yeah.
sometimes you're facing Max Holloway, who's one of the best boxers in that division. So it
Right.
is a strategy. It is a chess match that you have to play. You're not going to come in there. You're not fighting some, from somebody from some second B grade organization. You're fighting the
True.
number one contender, who's been the number one contender and a former champion for the last 5 years.
Very
So
true.
it's not going to be an easy fight. And it's not like Max is not easy to knock out, dude. You can hit him. Poirier at lightweight had trouble hitting him.
Correct. Correct. In
And
fact, that's one of the things that Joe Rogan was saying. Is his chin is so underrated. People don't realize that this guy has not been knocked out clean
dude,
ever,
he's not been knocked down.
ever.
I'm not even seen him in trouble. Like the one time we saw him a little in trouble was against Poirier.
Yes.
And he
Yes.
recovered in like 1 second.
And that was at a division one level up.
Correct. Heavier. And Poirier to anyway is a huge lightweight.
Right.
He's a
Poirier
very
has
big lightweight.
has knocked out like Justin Gaethje also. So
Yeah,
we know
man.
what
I
power
mean,
he holds.
yeah, I mean it's one of those situations where, see, the thing is now that it's the same thing we were talking about with Israel Adesanya as well. Adesanya won his fight.
Yes. In the main
and-
event of the evening, UFC 276, Israel
Correct.
Adesanya beats Jared Cannonier in a unanimous decision, 49-46 across the board. One
But second,
judge,
hang on, who gave Jared a round?
two of them gave him a round. There was only one judge that said 50-45.
Which round? I think the third, where he landed some shots against the fence. I remember that
Yes.
one.
Yes.
I mean, if you talk about Israel Adesanya, and you can get some of the pictures of Jared Cannonier and Israel Adesanya up right now. Thank you so
Right.
much. You look at Izzy. If you look at his frame, his structure, he's built. It's looked like he was created in a lab. He's got
Yes.
muscle in all the right areas. His legs are
Right.
scrawny. His chest, his core, and his arms are big. They're solid. I've met this guy. He's tall. He's lanky. He looks like he was built for fighting. And
Yes.
because of his movement, the way he moves, the way he strikes, the way he dodges, evades, and his vision and his eyesight is incredible. He's in his absolute prime, where he can't miss something coming at him.
Right.
Now, the criticism that is coming to him after this fight is that he's not. Tell me something. Okay, Somesh. Now, chalo. Do you feel that champions should take chances?
See, that is an excellent discussion, but what I've been told right now is that we will be coming back after a short break and discussing
Okay, we're
unpopular
gonna come back to
and
this.
popular opinions where fighters should take risks or not take risks. So we will be back after this short commercial break. See you on the other side. Welcome back
Well,
after the short commercial break.
no, no, after that short commercial break, but I'm still going back to that question before we get to unpopular opinions and all the and actually the main thing that we wanted to talk about in one of the hot news of the day. But
Yeah,
tell me something. So no, see, the criticism is coming from for that camp now. It's remember what happened to Greg Jackson back in early 2010, 2011, 2012, where
right.
everybody was in their camp was becoming GSP had become just was decisioning people. Dominant victories, yes, 50-45 straight, but decision. Do you think it's the strategy of the camp that is coming out here? Because
Um,
Volkanovski and Israel Adesanya are from the same camp.
well, so to be honest, if you ask me, no, the answer is no. Um, Alexander Volkanovski, who is the champ at 145 division, still puts up that brave front, and his fighting style is to move forward. So if you see all the three fights with Max Holloway, in fact, coming down to the latest one, he was always pushing forward. He was always the aggressor. He was always doing
Even
things,
with Zombie.
even with Zombie. On the flip side, if you see someone like an Israel Adesanya, you need to bring the fight to him to see any action. Somebody like Kelvin Gastelum got the fight to him, but
Exactly.
someone like a um Yuval Romero, the Yuval Romero fight was extremely
Let's not
boring.
talk about that, dude.
Even though both the fighters have the capability to be explosive, I think the kind of fighter Israel Adesanya is he's more defensive in nature. Unless and
S-
until you bring the fight to him, Robert Whittaker got the fight to him.
Correct.
You
But
know,
I think see against Cannonier, we saw him being a lot more aggressive than his last fight. We saw him taking steps forward. We saw him reaching out. His jab was magic this time.
but
And the thing is,
also
he couldn't
because
continue with those jabs.
I mean, I
It's
truly believe that happened because Cannonier was also getting the fight to him, and
yes,
maybe
he was in his face,
Adesanya didn't want to wrestle him, so he was just kind of getting this jab, and his jabs really started
dude.
working post the third round.
Dude,
The
he
first two
couldn't
rounds was
wrestle him.
still he was
Dude, he it's Adesanya's takedown defense is so underrated. It is so criminally underrated.
it is, but Jared Cannonier is a whole new animal. I mean, remember he's
Yeah, but he
come down
couldn't take him
from
down.
heavyweight. He's come down
Yeah, but
from
he couldn't take
heavyweight.
him down.
He couldn't because he was still scared of those knees coming in, those uppercuts,
Yeah,
and
that's the beauty of it. No, that's the thing.
correct,
That's where the Dagestanis are different. They are ready to
correct.
take the knee coming in.
Correct.
They're
But the
ready to
point we're
take
trying
the
to prove
uppercut.
here, the point that we're trying to prove here is you need to get the fight to Adesanya for him to show his magic. In fact,
Hmm,
if you ask
I
me,
agree.
I'm an old school guy. I like the Volkanovski style of fighting where you kind of bring the fight, you move forward, even if you get hurt. Even if you get hurt. Now, even with Brian Ortega, there was that nasty guillotine that
Oh
was
my
there.
god,
But he
that
popped out
was
and he
fight of the year,
continued fighting. He continued fighting.
dude.
Israel
No,
Adesanya, I feel his entrances are right now more glamorous than his fights.
oh, ho, ho, ho. On that note, yeah, there is some harsh criticism for Adesanya. According to me, I think. Look, man, if you're the champ, you got to come after the champ as well. Okay,
Very
you
true.
have to
Very
you have
true.
to take your chances against the champion. You're not there to pick apart a champion. You're not to, it's guys like Matt Serra who swung against GSP and got success. Yes, he got beat badly after that, but he would go down in history for beating one of the greatest technical tactical fighters in the world. Chris
Yes.
Weidman, as much as it hates me to say this, and it pains me because Anderson Silva is the greatest fighter and one of my favorites, he got knocked out by Chris Weidman because Chris Weidman was fearless. He knew he couldn't stand on the outside. He couldn't pick him apart.
So I don't
So
completely agree with that. I feel Anderson Silva was a little cocky in that fight, and hence he got caught.
see,
Otherwise,
it's the
otherwise,
same
if you
thing.
ask me, I don't think Chris Weidman ever has a chance to beat Anderson Silva when Anderson Silva is Anderson Silva and not the cocky Anderson Silva.
No, I mean, see, look, Anderson's cockiness is his technique to distract you, his
True,
technique to scare you. So
true.
it didn't. But the thing is that there was always going to be a day where you met a challenger who was not scared. Sonnen was never fell for his tactics, and
Right,
was the beginning, in that sense. But
right,
my
right.
point here is that the challengers usually go after the champions as well, and we used to see that.
Yes,
Look at
yes.
guys like Yuri Prohaska, man. Prohaska
But
went
see,
after Glover.
that's a different breed of fighters. There are fighters and there are athletes. You know,
This is your favorite line,
90%,
na? There are
ninety
fighters and
percent
there
of
are
them are
athletes.
athletes. 90% of them are athletes. If you
But
ask
I
me,
tell you,
I mean, what are the
but
Jose Aldos?
oh my God, let's not even. Oh, the internet is having a good time having doing a discussion between who is the greatest featherweight, and they're putting up stats of Aldo, Volkanovski, and I'm like, listen, all due respect to Volkanovski, no, he's not at Aldo. He's done.
Nobody's an Aldo. To be
Aldo is a
honest,
legend.
nobody's an Aldo because you
Nobody's
know,
an Aldo.
he got the fight to the opponent. He
Dude,
damaged the opponent.
dude,
He didn't,
WEC days.
he didn't go to decisions. He just went there to bang and kill. So
He
that's
went there to
crazy. But
kill.
however, the landscape of the sport has evolved so drastically that now
Yeah.
it's this classic balance between selling tickets and putting up a
Mhm.
show and
But look
winning
at
slash
Connor, man.
losing.
Look at Connor. Connor also takes such massive risks. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
And speaking of our main topic that we want to talk about today, somebody who takes massive risks is the lightweight champion of the UFC. Well, should be champion technically. He was stripped of the belt because of discrepancies in weight, but I think that was more of a commission and a weighing scale mistake than actually Charles Oliveira. Um, he, in my mind, he's still the champion because he proved it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And this man, Charles Oliveira, has come out and he's such a sweet guy. He lives in Brazil. He's still stuck to his old roots. Money hasn't really changed him yet.
Right.
As the championship status has not changed him. And if you saw that, if you saw the what he's been saying online, that he's now beginning to get irritated with Islam Makhachev and Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Well, who's not getting irritated with them? Who's not? Give me give me one example. I mean, Khabib is in the Hall of Fame, but Anderson Silva is not. Give me a break. Come
Yeah,
on.
no, that is just
That's not fair. That's not fair.
that is I
Khabib,
don't understand.
Khabib, who talks about all this respect and all of that in his 29-0 career, and the moment he retires, he just kind of chilled for a week, 10 days, and then he was boom at it. Ring girls, not good. This not good. Dana
Yeah.
White not good. And then Dana White came up with his own statement saying Khabib was dodging Tony for the longest time.
Yeah, I'm. It's
So pretty much, there's dirt on both sides, but you either show it or you don't show it. It's not that you protect yourself at some level because you're competing and all of that. And
right.
then,
Right.
once you're out of it, you completely change your colors. And that's exactly why Connor used to say what he said, and that's not a wrong thing.
True, but the thing is what Charles has said. Charles, the way he's talking, see, we
Yeah.
already know Charles is crazy. There was a time where Charles was losing, and then something switched on in his brain, and he's
Or
become
something
this,
switched off in his brain.
or something switched off in his brain, or he stopped thinking altogether. The man has dude. The guy is technically blind, and he
Yeah.
fights blind in the cage. He can see two of the people, and he just says, "I punch in the middle."
Oh, no,
And,
he can see three of the people, he said.
he said he can see three and he punches the
Three.
person in the middle. And this is the champ that we're talking about, and he's
Yeah.
incredibly effective because he's just so dangerous in every area now. His striking
Right.
is improved so much, and he's been calling out. He's like, you know what, I don't give a shit whether I have to face you, Khabib, or to face Islam Makhachev. He's like, I know I may not submit him, I may not knock him out, but I know in my blood that I will beat him. And when
Right.
somebody like Charles Oliveira is saying this, he knows that he's in for Islam Makhachev is a very tough opponent. He's
Just look
going
at
to
these,
be.
just look at this kind of range of fighters that are just in the 155-pound division, man. You've got
I mean,
Charles
Connor,
Oliveira out there.
you can't put Connor in this. I mean, 5 years
know.
ago, yes, Connor definitely. Connor now is there for the marquee fights now.
Right,
And
right. But
rumor
he's
has
still
it
there. He's still there.
he's
And,
around. But have you seen his tweets from last night? I have to read
Oh,
it out
man,
after this. I will read it out, his drunken tweets, which he's
I've not.
deleted. But coming back to Khabib Nurmagomedov is retired, and he's said so many times that if Charles Oliveira beats his brother Islam Makhachev, he will get out of retirement to face him. And
Oh,
I'm just, and I think if you see what Oliveira has said, he's right. He's right to be upset. He's like, because you guys are talking shit now. If you're talking complete rubbish,
You
you're
know, if
campaigning
you
for a fight with me.
if you remember what Sean Strickland was talking at the press conference
Yeah.
for UFC 276. Now, Sean
Oh yeah,
Strickland
that was amazing.
is an absolute animal / maniac. So he openly said, yeah, the UFC are a corporate machine, and they are aiming for
Yeah,
an Alex Pereira Israel Adesanya uh, fight, and hence they are fast tracking him, because if he beats me, he gets a title shot.
agreed.
But I'm here to spoil the show. Now, Charles Oliveira may not say it, but he knows back end that Islam Makhachev is being fast tracked. And he's not got past Benil Dariush, he's not got past any of these big wigs,
Dude,
but
where's the fighters? Where's fight against Poirier, Gaethje, Chandler?
none
I
of
mean,
them.
these
None.
guys
He's
are
not fought
the
any of them.
top four in the division. We're
He's not
talking about the
fought
top
any
four
of
in the
them.
division.
And
Yeah,
he's going to straight be fast tracked into the title fight. And sadly, of course, he is no longer the champ technically on paper. For all of us fans, he is the champ. But yeah,
no,
so now,
ideally he's the champ. It's a stupid technicality why he's been stripped. Ideally,
very,
technically
very
he's the
true.
champ.
Very true.
But
And
it's sad day where somebody who is a mild talking, soft speaking champion, Charles Oliveira, doesn't talk shit about anybody. He doesn't say a bad word to
sad,
anybody.
sadly,
And for him to come out and speak so passionately, because I saw his Instagram live when he was doing this. It was all in Portuguese, but I had somebody who could help me out to translate it.
right.
He was angry. He was literally angry.
Well,
And
see,
it's
these situations come out because, when you have a discussion with the UFC, when you talk to Dana White, maybe, Sean Shelby, and they've told you that, listen, I'm sorry, but you'll have to wait and somebody will get fast tracked. It's just a matter of frustration. You cannot name the person, but you know that, listen, this is a game plan. They want to sell tickets. They are going to do this, blah, 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 blah. And that's why. And then they get pissed off, and they're fighters at the end of the day. They get punched for a living, and they
yeah,
beat people for a living. So it's not an
yeah.
easy line to be in. You have to
No,
check
it's
the
not. I mean,
marketing side of it, and you have to check the performance side of it.
correct. And I think Charles Oliveira has asked what he's asking for is absolutely fine. He's like, you want to do the fight? Let's do it in Brazil. Let's do it on home turf. How does it matter where it happens? He's like, you want to sell tickets? We'll sell 60,000 tickets in Brazil.
Yeah, I
And
mean
that's
that's
true.
yeah,
Charles Oliveira
it's
will
not a
fill up
different.
the stadium. He will fill out
Absolute,
in Rio de Janeiro or wherever they do
absolute,
it. So,
absolutely.
that being said, that concludes our hot news of the week. But we got a new segment which is called Unpopular Opinions. We're going to quickly run through that because our producer is giving us the dagger looks. It's not only Charles Oliveira and Justin Gaethje that can kill. It's also Soroini, SG. We've got unpopular opinions. Now, unpopular opinions can be held by anybody, and but this is just a fun thing to do between us that we decided to do. So, first thing I'm going to first unpopular
Yeah, what are
opinion
the
that I'm
fans
going to talk
talking
about.
to us about? Let us know that. What are the unpopular opinions?
So the fans that has sent us, okay, Volkanovski, as good as he is not the best featherweight.
Um,
Well, whoever sent that to us, please note that he's the champ for a reason
yeah, I
and
mean,
has maintained the champ status.
now this question is quite open ended. So, is he or she saying the best featherweight ever or the best featherweight right now?
No, but best featherweight right now. Ever though, that is a different discussion.
Oh, absolutely, yes. See, in fact, the fact that he is the champ, he has beaten the top level guys multiple number of times. I don't doubt it that he is the best featherweight at this point of time. The fact that Max Holloway, who's touted to be UFC's blue-eyed boy, has got beaten convincingly thrice. Okay, chalo,
Yeah,
convincingly twice. You
true.
know,
True. No,
he's beaten Brian Ortega, he's beaten Korean Zombie, he's kind of cleaned out the division, and of course,
yeah,
having
yes.
no genetic benefits. He's the shortest guy, doesn't have the best reach,
True.
is not a wrestler, none of that. He has nothing, and he's still the champ.
True. So you
So,
don't agree with that
undoubtedly,
unpopular opinion?
absolutely not. I think he is definitely one of the best featherweights of all time, is what I would say, because he's making the unnatural things happen. He's in fact showing people that if you put your heart into this, you are going to succeed. You're going to push the limits, and you will get to where you want to be.
Oh, so the second and final unpopular opinion, since we're running out of time, is a fan told us that Islam Makachev is overrated. Now that is a very
Mm.
unpopular opinion.
So, I mean, I would try and not be biased here, but I would completely agree to that, because there are some fighters who get tailor-made fights for them
Hmm.
to eventually rise up. Now, Islam Makhachev is a great fighter, but
Hey, he's a
you know,
specimen. I mean, look at him, man. He's ridiculous.
if you ask me, yes, he fought the biggest name he's fought is probably Dan Hooker.
Yeah, and
And
that too
Dan
on like
Hooker
a 5 day notice. Who's
and
not
Dan
a
Hooker
grappler also,
Dan Hooker still is not the best out
and
there
he's
in
not a
this
grappler. Dan Hooker's not a grappler. He's not
you
a
know
wrestler.
Dan Dan Hooker technically may have that number 5 next to his name, so he's ranked number 5 in the world, but still, man, come on, you've got Justin Gaethje, you've got Dariush out
Chandler,
there, you've got Chandler out
Darius,
there. I mean, there are
Poirier.
so many guys out there who he's just not fought, and I don't know if it's just a Dagestani thing of negotiating and finding a replacement for Khabib and stuff like that. So
Well,
to just go
Ali
down that
Abdulaziz
route,
is doing his job, man. Ali
he's
Abdulaziz is doing his
he's
job.
absolutely doing his best, and I don't blame him for that. I mean, if you can arm squeeze the UFC for anything, and if they can do it, then why not? See, it's your business. It's your business. Like
Agreed.
for me, I have the same opinion about Sean O'Malley. Where he's got
Mm.
tailor-made fights for him to climb to the top. But we saw what happened when he went, face to face with Chito Vera. So
See,
I'm
I
sure that
agree. I agree.
there will be, of course, Islam Makhachev is way better than Sean O'Malley. I'm not denying
Obviously,
the skills
correct.
whatsoever, but he's not yet gone through the rough
So saying
patches.
he's not been tested. He's not been battle tested
Not
properly.
He's not been battle tested. I would love to see him against a Benil Dariush, if you ask me.
I would, honestly, even Benil Darius now because of his injury, I don't know when he's coming back, and he's very. I don't know. I think there's something going on in his head because he's not very motivated to come back as well. He's not given
Man,
a time
Dustin
frame on his
Poirier, come on.
return.
Dustin Poirier,
Gaethje, Poirier, one of these guys. Come
Chandler.
on.
Chandler's still
Man.
hanging there. So I
Chandler,
mean,
Chandler is a smart cookie, yeah. And by the way, Chandler is got into an altercation at UFC 276 with the Diamond, Dustin
oh
Poirier.
yes, oh yes,
So
he has.
we might be looking at a Chandler versus Poirier situation, but
That would
I
be very
think
interesting.
Chandler Connor, man,
Yeah,
dude.
Chandler Connor possibly is the next fight, but if you ask me about at least this unpopular opinion, I think he's getting some tailor-made fights for him. If you're talking about Islam Makhachev, I think it's slightly unfair.
I think I agree with you. I mean, I'm not me as I love wrestling, I love grappling, and I like Khabib forever.
Yeah.
But it's I'm not a fan of the wrestling heavy attack in that sense. It's a great skill, and there is it's the simplest thing you can say is that you don't like the wrestling, learn how to counter wrestle, do what Chuck
Correct.
Liddell did, defend the
Right.
takedown and strike.
Right.
And that is absolutely true. But as a fan, I don't want to sound like a casual fan, and it's horrible. I'm going to get backlash for this. But it's like guys who are guys. I always will love the Shoguns. I will always love the Mark Hunts. Who
Absolutely.
took risks in fights. It was not,
Absolutely.
just that's what I'm saying. That's why Strickland is one of the last few, who went and fought somebody at their strength,
Well, but
not their
speaking about
weakness.
strength, we have the next banging event which is coming up this Sunday.
sir.
Rafael Dos Anjos and Rafael Fiziev in the lightweight division. Have you ever seen a
RDA
Rafael
is
versus
fighting.
Rafael? Yeah, RDA in the main event of the evening.
Who's he fighting? RDA.
RDA is fighting Rafael Fiziev.
Rafael Fiziev.
Yeah.
And wasn't there Calvin Qatar also, I think, fighting?
Calvin Qatar.
No, I don't think I'm mistaken. I'm confusing.
No,
pay-per-views, I
it's
think.
not.
No.
It's not for this event. It's not for this event. This event is
Okay.
Rafael Fiziev versus Rafael Dos Anjos. So it's technically a Rafael versus Rafael. But we do have Said Nurmagomedov on this
cousin
event, which
of Khabib.
cousin of Khabib. So we can't keep these people out because we have got Khabib who's retired, and we've got Said, and we've got Umar Nurmagomedov. So
I
all
already know how the
Nurmagomedov
fight's going to go. Third round decision. 3-round decision.
Yes, absolutely. That
Yeah,
could
it's
be a case.
30-27.
But we have
30-27, boss.
but we have Michael Johnson coming back on this card. So you know what? Very interestingly, we're just going to be picking out the main event of the evening, which is Rafael Dos Anjos versus Rafael Fiziev. How do you see this fight going?
Oh man,
Versus
I've
a
got
former
RDA all
champion
day.
versus a rising contender. It's coming up.
I've got Dos
this Sunday.
Anjos all day. I've got Dos Anjos all day. He's too experienced. He's too technical. He's strong in every area, whether it's grappling, it's jiu-jitsu, it's wrestling, defensive wrestling. He's got great hands. He's got knockout power. He's got championship experience, and that's what counts. When you've got championship experience, you've been in the limelight with the tough fights. You know what it's like to be in the tough situations. So I'm going to give him the edge, but you never know, man. Fiziev is a rising star. You never
Oh
know.
man, that's crazy. That is, you know what? Just so that I go against you, I'm going to be saying Rafael Fiziev.
But no,
Just
hang on.
just to add that. Just to add that.
So okay, we're going against each other. But I gotta quickly add this tweet which one of our fans has sent us.
Hmm.
Conor McGregor last night, 11 hours ago, has now he's disappeared for 11 hours. He wrote F the rest, I'm the best. And then after that, he's writing to Rafael Fiziev and Tiger Muay Thai saying,
Yeah.
no brother, pal, no bother, pal. Sound, think of me as Tiger Woods with a 12 iron and your nose as the golf ball. And think of me sprinting for it with a running switch kick and F your little bend back. You little bend back, nobody pitch. Oh, you bend over. Wow, that's awesome. Congrats, pal. Tiger
Oh
Woods,
man.
Muay Thai, Dubai. And then after that, he's disappeared.
Oh my God, this guy is something else
Oh,
altogether.
I mean, look
But
at this.
Rafael Fiziev is a
It's
very interesting character.
ridiculous.
He's 29 years old, born in Kazakhstan, lives in Thailand, trains out of Phuket. So very interesting. Like we'll see how this goes. So just to make this exciting, I'm gonna go opposite Mystic Chips with
Yes, sir.
with Rafael Fiziev in the main event of the evening. But ladies and gentlemen, this was an exciting episode with Mystic
Amazing
Chips
episode.
and Superhuman Kamra. We had a great discussion. Thanks for joining us. Please write to us with your unpopular or popular opinions and do check out the latest merchandise on ivmpodcast.com. We'll see you same time next week only on Fight Mania. Thank you from Arjun, aka Mystic Chips, and
Thank you.
Somesh, the Superhuman Kamra.